So many of you know how I feel about the need to invest in our children and help those amongst us that are most vulnerable. But I also want to take this moment to say that I really agree with the previous speaker about the need to address the reasons that children have to go into care in the first place. There's no better way to address the problem than to prevent child abuse and neglect in the first place, to help families be stronger and healthier in the first place. And that's why I spend a great deal of time advocating for the various ways that we can strengthen families, that we can strengthen children, because it's always best if families can stay together. I was just speaking out on the Capitol steps a few moments about the need to do that, and it was inspiring to see so many people out there on this windy day, and there are people doing this in 8 other communities across the state right now in support of preventing child and abuse and neglect from taking place in the first place. Sadly, we haven't made the progress that we'd like to see yet in preventing families from coming into care. This last year, there were 15,000 reports of harm that were made, and of those that were validated after a thorough investigation, 1,600 children were removed from their homes. It's always best that those children aren't removed from their home, if we can at all avoid it. But in each of those 1,600 cases, and I have to hope that, you know, there was, and believe that there was due diligence in those cases. There was substantiated evidence of neglect or harm to those children. The result now is, even with many children leaving the state and leaving state's care and going into their back to their families or into adoption or a relative placement of some kind, we still have 2,900 children in care right now. That's the highest number we've ever had. And that's a concern. So we have to make sure that we do the work that needs to be done with those kids that we must care for, that the state must care for. We have a shortage of foster homes. It's a huge challenge. There's currently 700 kids in care waiting for permanent homes. My daughter was one of those kids who waited in foster care for a permanent home for many years. She has 2 biological brothers that never found a permanent home and are still in foster care at ages 19 and 21. Those kids needed that care, and I'm pleased that my family was able to step in, but we need to make sure that every resource is brought to bear recruit foster families and permanent adoptive homes. And so I'm very excited that we're making this a part of protocol. Would I liked it to have been always being done? Yes. But you know, here we are, and we're going to make it better today by pressing yes. Looking at permanency and finding permanent homes. It's a travesty that anybody should be in care and we didn't know that they had an aunt, uncle, grandparent, you know, long lost cousin that was capable of taking care of them. I can tell you that in my daughter's case, there wasn't somebody like that, but we should always be looking at that. So I'm excited that we're taking this move today to make sure that we're doing the due diligence and that that effort is being required. I don't think that the folks at OCS were missing these things but because they didn't care. I think the system is complicated, it's challenging. We've discussed, you know, in the past the workload that people have. If we're giving them tools today to do a better job for our kids, I think that's a good thing. I'd urge everybody to support this bill.